Hey, me, Makari. You join Discord and Twitch. Hey, thanks, bye. I need everybody to pull out their notepads and pens and paper, please, because it is learning time. As is ever our endeavor on this channel, we have the utmost yearning to learn. Now, I'm a good teacher, and I will do my best to help educate on the most poetic of subjects. However, when it comes to subjects that I need a little bit of outside help with, I will occasionally call in on secondary teachers. So Professor Lando here will do us a dutiful job of informing us on today's subject, FUTANARI. What is FUTANARI? Where can I get FUTANARI? How is FUTANARI? Who is FUTANARI? Can I eat FUTANARI? All these questions and more will now be answered. I hope you take notes because there will be a test at the end of the video.
Sir Lando, and welcome to the esteemed Ligma University. And in today's lesson, we're taking a look at a very important topic, and that is one on FUTANARI. Yes, FUTANARI. What is it? And also, why exactly why do we like it so much? That's what we're striving.
Why do we like FUTANARI? Well, to answer the question, and not to take away from Mr. Lando's poetic licensing here, we like FUTANARI because, much like our patriotic pride, we want to be inclusive. We want to have the opportunity to strive out and be all-encompassing. We want to reach across the entire spectrum of tastes and likes and have a little bit of everything. Just like how, back in the good old days, we tried to have a little bit of everything in England by spreading England everywhere, because everywhere in the world needed to have a taste of England, thus encompassing all flavors of the world. FUTANARI is the same. FUTANARI allows everyone, no matter their preferences or likes, to come together and enjoy everything all in once, all the time, every time. At least that's my way of looking at it.
Please, again, take a seat, open up your notebooks, and let's begin class.
Oh my god, education!
Like I said, students, today we are going over FUTANARI. It is a genre
FUTANARI, abbreviated to futa in the cultured industry.
Explicit Japanese material, aka hentai, where a
Whoa, hentai? You guys have hens with ties? Damn, I didn't realize this was a hentai kind of game. I don't even have my hen with me. Morty. We guys, do we know where the hen is? I need a hen. Anyone got a spare tie?
character or characters has both female and male explicit parts.
But what about the hen? Where does the hen come into this?
Now, what do I mean exactly by this? Well, I'll give you an example
So
here.
both
Let's take a female character
and booba. Damn,
Chun-Li,
Lando ain't a bad drawer.
To a male character, for example, someone like Naruto.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, anime characters may look female, but as Astolfo has taught us, what looks female might come with a surprise, a hidden surprise. What is presenting effeminately might not be what you expect lying underneath. It's a shame we never see things from the other perspective, where exceptionally masculine-looking characters are actually female. Usually when we get that, they're muscle mommies and very evidently have the boob.
Now, when it comes to FUTANARI, in its most basic description, it describes a character that is intersex, having both parts. Now, you could take this as a traditionally female character like Chun-Li having a phallus, or a male character having breasts, for example. But when it comes to FUTANARI in practice, out there on
the clinical definition of FUTANARI is vajayjay, PP, and booba. Because when it's just the PP and the booba, that would be considered actually, I'm not even sure what the definition of that would be, but it's cultured. Cultured is what it's classified as.
The field, we find that more often than not, the majority of the media is going to be female characters with the addition of male parts, conceptually speaking, and not...
My inception for this knowledge was an amazingly family-friendly TV show called Bible Black. Which, by the way, if you've never seen Bible Black, even to this day and age, Bible Black trumps most anime with its animation quality and gorgeous, gorgeous animation style.
Male characters with female parts. Now, don't get confused. There could be some crossover here with Rule 63, male characters and or female characters being changed into the opposite gender in fan-made media, fan art, and whatnot.
Not that I would ever make art like that at all. Not that I would ever take a character that is male or female by default and flip their genders around. Oh wow guys, look at that over there. It's well crazy.
But we are talking about Futanari. Now, before we get deeper into this subject, I'd like to get deeper into the subject, you know what? Futanari is a genre in Japanese
dude, I am so eager to get deeper into Futanari.
So when we talk about Futanari, it is
one's in chat if you're really excited to learn about Futanari.
And although there might be some loose associations with this word to some real-life cultural things many, many years ago, today, in modern times, and in the context that I'm teaching you about, Futanari is not to be used to describe real-life people.
No.
Trans people specifically. Now, there might be some trans people that associate positively with this word. Who am I to say? Who am I to really know?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to call me a futa, by all means. Because the only thing that's going to be futa about you and me is my futa up your ass. Yeah, baby! I'm funny as fuck!
But generally speaking, I think we would all agree that Futanari, to describe real-life people, would be pretty distasteful.
Not as such.
All right, you
Depends
hear
on
that?
preference.
It's lunchtime, students. So before we get onto the
Lunchtime?
rest of this lecture,
Snack time. I have my coffee.
Get some brain food in us. Oh, I don't know about you students, but I am starving.
Better not be a sponsorship.
Luckily, Ligma University offers a very nutritious diet plan for its faculty and its students.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, that's a good donut. Man, I'm gonna stick my tongue right in the hole of that donut. Oh my god. Dude, I just love licking the hole of a donut. That's where all the juicy cream ends up like pooling. Like whenever you make a donut, right, you got to think about it, right? You got to think about it. When they're making a donut, it's on a flat surface like this, right? Like, this is a flat surface. The donut's on top. So when they're pouring all that juicy cream on top of it, all of that juicy like cream ends up like pooling here in the middle. So you end up with a you end up with very creamy donuts. So you got to make sure you get the crevices to get the juiciness of your donut.
Before we eat, I think this is a good opportunity to learn something important about Futanari for you visual learners out there. Now, when it comes to Futanari, there are three main types of physical appearances of a Futanari character. We're going to use these food items as stand-ins for the explicit body parts you might find on a Futanari character. First off, we have,
you know, if we're talking about femboys, I need to show you guys something real quick. Just like real quick. So I just need you to know as well, Professor Lando does follow me. And the problem with this is that what I'm about to do might make him unfollow me. But else, Mr. Lando here loves talking about, you know, femboys and all that jazz. And we know he has a good basis of knowledge for this because he, too, was a cute, rar, XDing kind of individual back when they were younger, which means they themselves have a knowledgeable understanding of the ins and outs of femboyality. This is why we can always attribute Professor Lando to being a very knowledgeable person, because much like me having knowledge about Futanari, seeing as I've you know, existed around them for so long, Lando himself has real-world experience with femboys, much like I have real-world experience with Futa.
Have a banana, or a phallus, a schlong, schmeat, the girth, member, length, and to
penor, phallus, grungus, if you will.
Go along with this banana, we have two tangerines, and they go at the base of the banana like so. And this represents the male package, as you can guess. And in a Futanari
okay,
character,
David Bowie, put your balls down.
This replaces the normal female accoutrement that you would usually find. And they come in different shapes.
Oh, another word in England? Willie. Willie. Thompson. Richardson. Don't know why in England we like to abbreviate the word penis into someone's name, but still.
shapes and sizes like they do in real life. They come just like this, girthy, way above average length, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, no, Futanari has a crippling tendency of making their characters' dicks a little bit too big than they would be normally.
And they say that loses some sensation.
You know what, guys, if this video gets 500 likes, I will do a Fansly stream where I show you all the cultured Futanari content that I've managed to procure for educative purposes.
For the banana, but I think they make do. And so that's going to be the first version.
So we can
of a
learn
Futanari
even more
that we might run into. And so what we have next is this donut. That's going to represent the female body part usually found in explicit material. Right there. This.
Lando, please do not finger your donut live on YouTube. I want this video to be monetized for the love of all that is holy.
Delicious donut. Right there. And so in the second form of a Futanari character, in the physical appearance of it, instead of the standard male package, you remove the tangerines, no tangerines, and in place of it would be the donut, the female entrance where it normally would be, but with
But you can have, like, there needs to be a bit of a caveat said to this. You can have both. Both? You can have futa with the balls dangling down over the female entrance like drapes. Like weighted, heavy drapes covering and hiding the female parts. It is an anatomical understanding that depending on style, depending on where you come from in the world, you can have both. And when you don't have both, it's usually because those testicles are internal, kind of like a dragon. So what we're learning is that Futanari, where the balls aren't visible, are dragons. They have cloacas. Their balls are internal.
A banana protruding from the top. Arguably, this is a more...
And in some parts of the world, the penor, the phallus, the tallywhacker, actually protrudes from the clitoris. The clitoris, as Guilford Godfrey would say.
Niche version.
Just so you know, there are anatomical differences depending on regionality.
But otherwise, popular within its own community. And for the third version of Futanari character, we're going to combine our entire meal and have a balanced,
See, this is why I know Lando is an educated soul.
The standard male package, like so, resting upon our donut. Now, this might seem a little gluttonous to you, but to some people...
We can have it all. We're allowed to have it all. We are allowed to be indulgent.
This is their preference. And we can't argue that this is definitely
Man, I'm hungry now.
A pillar of the...
Can somebody get me a donut? I'm actually, like, really hungry. I could go for some, like, Krispy Kremes.
The Futanari genre. But I think whether or not you prefer your tangerines with your banana, no tangerines with your banana, I think we can all agree that when it comes to Futanari,
this is a perfect opportunity to remind you all that I myself have a beautiful donut. Lando, you see, you are doing the world a service. I would have done this myself, but I'm trying to hold back the tide of vigorous indulgence of my audience. Like, we are so aghast with trying to learn as much as possible. You are doing the service for us by showing us what we would do given the chance. Also, yes, I do have a donut emote. Enjoy my donut emote.
So fucking good. Well, that answers the question of what is Futanari, but not why.
I mean, realistically, do you really mind the knowledge about how and the anatomicalness of Futanari? Because in reality, there is one unifying thing of Futa, and that unifying notion is that no matter who or what you are or where you are, Futanari brings us all together as gooners. That we will goon no matter what. And that when someone like myself makes a Futanari artwork to present female and male anatomy combined in unison together, it's not for our benefit, it's for my benefit. My benefit as a Gooner provider for all of you to enjoy.
Why Futanari?
For my financial gain.
Why Futanari? Well, why is it so popular? Let me give you some metrics here for reference. We're going to be pulling from two main sources, two main websites where Japanese explicit media, as well as other types of explicit media,
You know what's kind of funny? Did you guys ever see those, like... I wonder if I can find this, actually. One sec. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this as a demographic, but this is truly the search result that exposes us as cultured individuals. That really, why are the rest of us in the known world so basic? Why must the rest of us be so satiated and placated by simple, innocent, and very drab subject matters? Why is it that only the Asian and the Japanese culture are open-minded enough to appreciate the kind of smuttery that entails a phallus of more than just one phallus? Why is it that Japan has that level of culture that overrides all other cultures to prove the superiority of FUTANARI and the encompassment therein of hentai? It is truly a cultural experience.
These two websites right here. Now, for liability's sake, I'm not going to tell you exactly which websites these are, but I will say that these are the two most popular websites for hosting Japanese explicit media.
I mean, as you guys full well know, I myself am going to happily show you my search history because, you know, we here like to educate ourselves. Every time we play a game that pertains us to wanting to learn about said game, we always have to go by the precedent of how is that game's search results. Because we can always determine, deterministically, the popularity of a game based on how much smut has been made for it. Because education.
As well as other types of explicit media, this one being for images, and this one being for doujins, or the comic manga version. And on the first website, there are 603,600.
Dang, the internet works fast.
39 individual results for the word futanari. And for the doujin site, there are 35,416 individual works posted with the tag futanari. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a lot of futanari. Now, the question is why? Why do we like futanari so much?
I've already explained it, and I know exactly where he's going with this.
Projection. That's the term that I use to describe the phenomena at play here when it comes to futanari.
There is one thing that he's likely to talk about that I want to take the thunder of, and it's called escalation. Now, put it into your mind if you will. Imagine this is my whiteboard. Imagine you are a fresh internet enjoyer, right? Imagine you've just gotten onto the internet at the beautiful age of 18, and you're horny, and you think to yourself, golly gee, I want to watch some porn. So I'm gonna watch some, I'm gonna watch some hentai. I'm gonna watch a cultured anime with booba, if you will. And your tastes at the time are very flatline. They're very basic. To you at that point, your interest is in, regular sized boobs, like normal boobs, normal porn. Like missionary is as kinky as you go. Then by the time you've turned 20. You've been watching, and depending on the intensity of your gooning, will depend how much your balls have become laden with inferiority. And all of a sudden, what used to entertain you now kind of is a bit boring. So you have to push it that one step further. Now, instead of watching hentai with just boobs, you have to watch hentai with huge boobs. I'm talking a real set of cohonkers, a real set of badonkas, massive jubbly-doublies. And, as time goes by, this escalation starts snowballing. At the age of 21, those big boobs, those huge badonkas, are now have also now lost their sparkle, if you will. So now, all of a sudden, you're really, really, really hoping you can find something to make yourself feel like you were back at the age of 18. So now, instead of just looking for boobs, you're looking for grotesquely, disproportionately sized titties, if you will. The kind that would make any sort of philosopher and psychologist wonder what the hell's going on in your life. But it doesn't stop there, no. This level of escalation has no end. Eventually, you get to a point after so long of this gooning, where at the age of 22, as an example, you are now so baffled by how woefully hard it is for you to bash your schmeat that not even the massivest gargantuan of booba can satiate you. So now all of a sudden, you need to find something spicier. You need to find something that will absolutely bring that to a whole new level. So you start dabbling with the weirder side of things. You start expanding your spectrum to more than just boobs. You want those boobs to have something surprising. Now, these are just lines. These lines right here, these are lines, but they are not anything smutable. What you pertain from these lines is entirely on you. But it doesn't even stop there, because, you know, this will eventually become boring, even for you. And from here in, this is where the spiral commences. Because at this point, you've lost all sense of normality. You've lost all sense of physicality that would pertain to our real world. And the spiral will then start going down to the levels of the extraordinary, the otherworldly, the outside of the realms of physicality.
Makari out here laying out the doomer to goner pipeline.
I mean, whatever you pertain this to be, I am merely projecting the way it works. Because from here on, we enter the realm of the immaterial, what is no longer perceivable through normal means within our regular world. Because this is the time where we start seeing what would have been big boobs and big something to now having big somethings appear where big somethings probably wouldn't do, and where the proportionality of the body proportions are no longer where they should be, or even to the size that would be physically feasibly possible by a typical normal individual. And maybe even you start mixing up the originality of what those might be. Maybe your limitations are no longer even to the human variety. Maybe there are mixings of animalistic traits, anthropomorphizations, and anatomical mysticisms. Maybe now even you're mixing in the subject matter of different otherworldly elements from different mathematical equations. Maybe you're even drawing in from different sources. So rather than just being regular anime characters, you start fascinating and fantasizing about the characters that you enjoyed from your childhood television shows, like as an example, your Teletubbies. Maybe Tinky Winky doesn't just want to be a Tinky Winky anymore. Maybe they want to be a Biggie Winky. But the point is, the spiral commences and is slow to start, but by the time you reach a certain point, that spiral starts going down to the deeper, fathomless levels that can no longer be quantified by our earthly, realmly mortals. And I hope this has been something that will help expand upon what our lovely professor here is talking about.
Much like how Charles Xavier, famed telepath leader of the X-Men, might project his conscious mind from one X-Men to another person. Tracer with a big fat. That's the type of projection I'm talking about here.
Hey, how dare you look at my search history?
The key appeal of the Futanari genre is understanding. Understanding what it feels like to have your
We've already talked about Astolfo.
So I think the taboo-ness and the appeal of Futanari comes from having that sensation.
Certainly an extra tabulation. The taboo is it is a sentiment of the fantasy, which going back to our graph we had prior. Eventually, you are no longer able to get excited by what it pertains to regular normality. Eventually, all that you can be fantasized by is that which is fantastical. It is that which you can no longer pertain. It is the taboo of perversing the human body into otherworldly forms.
That men are so
it is the desensitization of normality.
And projecting it
once you are desensitized, you must expand beyond that of the human confines.
Having that character experience, know what it's like to have that pleasure. That's the taboo-ness. That is where the main appeal of Futanari comes into play. Basically, the appeal of Futanari can be summed up in this way. Hey, I know what it feels like, and I like that she knows what it feels like, but she's not supposed to.
Ah, yes, very agreeable, Mr. Lando. Very agreeable.
I'm talking about. It's witnessing these female characters experience the same pleasure that I feel.
Yes,
with a
it is
little bit
a
of tabooness.
gender equality
Students,
experience.
I'll ask you this.
100%.
Why do we all like MILF so much?
Guys, are you taking notes?
Well, we all have a mother or can relate to some
better be
sort
seeing
of
some note-taking.
motherly experience, positive or negative. And why do we all like furry so much? Well, I think it's because...
It's for the exact same reason. This, very astutely posited by our lovely professor here, brings me to a subject of evolutionary escalation, where these same kind of concepts transcend that of one subject matter. And maybe at this point of wanting more than what contains to our physicality, maybe rather than going down into the immaterium, we suddenly become interested in different subject matters entirely. Maybe rather than just humans, we start being fascinated by those with big fluffy ears and a big wet nose, and the tantalization of what Jessica Rabbit really felt when the rabbit guy from that show was bumping away on them. What would Lola Bunny truly equate to in our worldly experience? Again, it's that escalation. It's that open-mindedness, that embracement of the wondrous fantasy of our mind.
We all have an innate primal nature harkening back to our pharaoh ancestors that we all want to tap into and go, primal.
It is,
That's
and this
why we
all...
like Futanari so much. It's because it's relatable.
Exactly.
It's universal.
It is our primal
and so
instincts
intellectual
being...
detractors might say
It is our primal instincts being expressed in a truly modern way. And until recently, we have not had the ability of expressing our primal urges in such expressive fashions. The Neanderthals of the Neolithic periods would goon to their delightful wall paintings, but they did not have the expressivity of comprehending what if penis and vagina at the same time. Their brains hadn't been opened to the comprehension of what was possible. But we in our modern era, with our knowledge and understanding of physicality and psychology and goonolity, can break those boundaries to bring ourselves into an artistic level of expression never seen before.
Hey, Professor Lando, if it's about relatability, then why wouldn't you just watch Men? Isn't that the ultimate relatability?
It's called plausible deniability. When your mother walks in on you gooning to gay porn, they are going to question your sexuality. There'll be a whole awkward thing. There'll be inquiries and questions about what you are doing with your life. But if they walk in on you whilst you're watching Futa, your mother will be like, you know, at least they're still women. At least they still have boobs. At least they are still the female variety. They might have a penis, but at least they don't have not boobs.
That's because we're missing out on the taboo element. Men beating it.
It is called plausible
I've been
deniability.
beating it my whole life. Also, why would I watch Men? What, am I gay?
Yeah, what am I, gay? Dude, we all know the strokes. It's the same strokes for everyone. It's not gay if the balls don't touch, and it's not gay if they have boobs. It's that simple.
To answer this question, I want to take a look at one of my favorite scenarios. So what we have here is a visual representation for Plato's allegory of the cave. In regards to hardcore Futanari, I ask you this question, students. Are you the prisoner or are you the onlooker? What exactly are you lusting for? Are you lusting for the concept, the idea, the projection and relatability
A truly fine allegory, if I
of the
do
phallus
say.
on the female character? If so, then I purport that it is not gay. However, if that
Yes,
is
we have
not
discussed
the
this
reason
in
you
thorough
like
detail.
Futanari,
Please,
then
Lando,
there could
expand
be
on my
a whole other
posits.
discussion to be had.
My
And
positation.
maybe, just maybe, it might be gay. Okay, now we're going to talk about something.
But it's okay to be gay. To be coy with the boys. When you do it in the gay way.
Called
There is nothing
the
wrong
Futanari
with
pipeline
the
of
gay.
self-discovery. So how does this diagram start? Well, it starts with the most basic exposure. Hentai.
Yes.
Perhaps
Yes,
the
thank
first
you.
stage
We have
because
discussed
of
this
how
already, but I'm
accessible
sure
it is,
Lando
especially
will
how
now go down the
provocative
line of
visuals can be,
desensitization.
mostly being animated media This could be discovering a certain Teen Titans animation on Newgrounds, or...
Hey now, don't you talk about my waifu Raven like that. Raven opened my mind to many things, and what was originally just Raven nude search results did eventually turn into Raven Futanari search results. That does not mean you can then start calling me out on that, my good sir.
Or perhaps seeing a clip of some sort of animated, explicit Japanese fictional work. But eventually you go on to the next stage, which is doujins, a slew of content that you never knew existed before. The volumes are comparable to a Library of Alexandria, the sort of Library of Alexandria of the modern age. When it comes to the animated works...
And we need to remind ourselves that this is not a modern contrivance, no. For you see, doujins are merely a modernization of smut. Smut has existed since the days of old. There have been scrawlings of pornographic nature since the times of the Neanderthals. It's just now in our modern era, in the time of fast data travel and commerce, we have the ability of understanding and exporting that knowledge, knowing fully that that is just part of our lives.
This is the clickbait of the not safe for work pipeline. Because although
it's the gateway.
There are some
gateway drug.
fantastic animated works, generally speaking, these are not the best. In hindsight, of course, when you're first discovering, this is very sensational. But doujins, that's where the meat is at. The
Story.
care each
not just
panel
interpretive
the amount
dialogue
of work that
of a
can be
single
explored
illustration. The
is why
doujins express a
doujins
story
is the next
to
stage.
immerse you.
Where do we go from there? Well, now we discover SFM or 3D animation.
Yes, truly an evolution. Taking that which was a mobile illustration of sequential interest into a animated, immersive, and very enthralling guise of artistic demonstration, with even fewer limitations on what could be possible.
Never underestimate the human potential for evolution, students. SFM or Source
See, me
Filmmaker,
and Lando,
which is a
we
3D
know our
software
stuff.
developed by
We are
Valve,
both
or other 3D
incredibly
programs
educated.
such as Blender 3D, most popularly, I believe, allowed people to create a whole new world of not safe for work media. 3D renders, 3D animation,
Absolutely,
taking the
absolutely.
2D planes, which
Very
have
well
been
spoken,
available
Mr.
in
Lando.
doujins and in the animated
Your positations
2D
are
works,
absolutely
and bring
delightful.
them into a whole new dimension. Source Filmmaker and Blender. Part of this is being able to take community-made models, assets, and the sheer...
Lest we forget what popularized this genre and evolution, the beautiful porno game that provided us with such amazing porn models, Overwatch.
productivity, the sheer output going down this pipeline. What is inevitable as a next step? If you are consuming SFM or 3D media, you are bound to discover
Futanari.
Futanari.
Yes.
Yes, Futanari. Because Futanari, although apparent in both doujin works and in animated works, for some reason seems to be particularly present.
What Mr. Lando is alluding to is what we pertain to in our early conversation, in the fact that there is a distinctive point where the confines and the contrains and the physicality of normal human proportions are no longer able to elicit excitement from us. We have been desensitized to that of our regular gooning shenanigans. And for us to goon further, we need to find more, something that breaks that limitation, that excites us further, that takes what we fought before and takes it to the next level.
Within 3D works. Now, not saying that you can't skip a step here. Perhaps you might find your way more prevalently in doujins than animated.
But it is inevitable.
Still possible. Perhaps there are some works. I'm not too familiar. Maybe you can send me some just so
yeah, you know, I myself, I do not pertain to watching this myself. When I myself am privy to this kind of imagery, it is for educative purposes only. So if anyone has any examples and would like to share with the rest of the class, my DMs are currently open, and we will have a show and tell in one of our future sessions where we can all get together and learn from primary research.
Here, you might be somewhat normal as you can be after discovering what these are. But upon discovering Futanari, I think, as a newly initiated person, you might be thinking, oh,
Golly.
I don't hate it. Maybe.
And what needs to be said here is, once again, relating this to the idea that this pertains to other rationalities. It's the same concept of saying, I'm not a furry, but that Lola bunny. Or, I'm not a furry, but have you seen that Worgen butt from World of Warcraft? Same.
Kind of like it. So whether you follow the standard flow or perhaps find yourself
I'm not
off
a
the
furry,
beaten path
but I
a little
do
bit,
kind of
you
like
get
Crystal
to this point and you have
from Star
to
Fox.
admit something to yourself. Hey, kind of like that. And where do we go from here? On an entirely separate pipeline, maybe you could see something like
Yes, thank you.
happen.
Thank you for expanding upon
Whoa,
the
wait a
expansion
minute.
of other things. Remember,
Now,
guys, femboy expansion is a viable causality of the expansion of Futanari. If you too want to understand the causalities of Futanari, there is a very simple concept of Futanari expansion that you can go and Google. If you Google Futanari expansion, you will discover everything else you need to know that pertains to what goes around Futanari.
Instead of liking female characters, those are just dudes. But hey, I think students, what you're saying is, but Professor Lando, no, they're feminine. They're breedable and submissive and or.
I think you'll find, Mr. Lando, you misspoke. It is called submissive and agreeable.
Well, once you're at this stage, there is a way you might find yourself even deeper. F it, I just like men. Now, obviously, what I'm trying to say here is not that Futanari is going to turn someone bi or gay. You can't turn someone into something they're not. You can't change them. You can't turn them into being gay or bi. But maybe this might reveal what's inside. Okay, now we're going to talk about the different types of subgenres within Futanari that you might run into.
This does go outside
so
my
the first
regular
subgenre that you're probably going to run
I understand
into
this.
the most
I
is
feel like
gonna
I know what he's going to talk about here.
on female. And an example of this would be
Futa on female is likely to be what the average gooner will find initially upon their experience of Futa on the outtake. And then from there, they'll be like, well, why am I limiting myself to Futa on female? What if Futa on male? It's not gay, because the Futa has boobs. Ergo, that means I'm not of the homosexual variety. And even if I was, I kind of like it. It's that fantastical and the expression of opening one's mind to what is plausible.
Tsunade and Shizune from Naruto. Tsunade here being the Futanari character and Shizune being the standard female character. Now the reason I've chosen these two characters to demonstrate this scenario is because within the canonical material, the series Naruto, Tsunade and Shizune are a pair. They're friends.
Evolutionary
Shizune-
step. Futanari to female is what you know. It's the likeliest intro to this genre. Futanari and Futanari is a middle ground between the two. Futanari and male is is a very deep expansion of that concept. And you wouldn't really, if you were even positing the idea whether this would be for you, you would start at the safe space and work to where you're more comfortable. Some people, however, know what they like. Some people are like, hey, yeah, that femboy getting a dick in, I like that. I'm into that. And at that point, good for you. You don't need to wiggle your way around what is ands or buts. You just go straight for what you enjoy. You know what you like. You're not afraid of embracing, hey, I'm kind of gay.
Serving as an aide to Tsunade, who is the Hokage for a time, and introducing the Futanari aspect within this pairing specifically, and other types of female and female pairings that you might usually see in the source material. It is able to take their relationship and introduce this sort of new flavor to it. Now, there already is fan-made content of explicit nature, right? Being images or dojins of these two characters
Very well
and other
posited, Lando.
female
Very well
characters
posited.
partaking in coitus, lovemaking. And that already...
For the uneducated around you, when he's referring to coitus, he is referring to fucking, shagging, deep dicking anal, up the fluff, if you will. Going hard like your mama knows. For the terms that you will understand.
is a sort of rush and tabooness in itself, but introducing that next level, whether it be Futanari or something else, you're taking it to that boundary. All in all, when it comes to Futanari, this model is pretty
sophisticated conversation,
stuff.
absolutely.
Okay, so the next subgenre that we're going to take a look at is Futa on Futa.
Yes, we saw this coming.
Okay, so the example I'm choosing
guys,
here...
we saw this coming. Futa on Futa was coming, and we knew it. And I know.
Is Cammy
He's pretty good at
and
this.
Jury from Street Fighter. So obviously in this subgenre, Futanari on Futanari, you take two characters that are usually portrayed as female in the source material, and they are both Futanari.
A good alternative to this would have been having Poison in there as well. Poison Ivy, whatever her name is, the one with the pink hair and the big old hat and stuff and big old dick.
Characters. What I think really sets this subgenre apart from the others is the combative nature of it, as opposed to the first one, Futa and Female, where there is a very clear give and take in the relationship. I enjoy the sort of clashing that might appear in Futanari and
A
Futanari.
fighting with
That's
swords,
why I've
if you
chosen
will.
these characters from a fighting game, Street Fighter, of course, Cammy.
Usually
and Jury.
a
It's sort of
Futa on
battle.
Futa scenario is a wrestle for superiority. If we look at the psychology of why Futa on Futa exists, it also pertains a lot to the idea of trying to find one's place as the superior in an engagement. Quite often you'll find Futa on Futa is a way for one character to assert their dominance onto another.
And that's where the fun is. Okay, and the last subgenre that I'm going to cover is Futa on Male, or Futanari.
Futa on Male also pertains, and something he might not mention, is to the act of one's fantasy. Maybe you consider yourself to be submissive and agreeable, but you don't find yourself in a situation to allow yourself to present that. So this allows you to posit the idea as to, what if this was actually the case? Maybe I, the male, gooning to this, am actually submissive and agreeable, but don't know whether that's something I would wish to present. This offers you that fantasy experience of experiencing it without necessarily getting fucked in the ass yourself. And then you can tell yourself, you know, this is for me. I'm totally up for getting fucked in the ass. Or maybe not. Maybe then you back out and go back to your regular gooning with regular normal hentai.
On Male.
But it is a gateway drug, and there is no backing
My example
out.
for this would be 2B from Nier Automata, and me, Professor Lando.
Or 2B and literally anyone. Literally anyone. Literally me. Literally me. It's 2B and me. I'm sorry, Mr. Lando, you are cucked. It's me. 2B and me. She's my wife.
The traditional role that men often find themselves forced into by societal norms is one where men are predominantly the acting force, specifically in relationships. But sometimes we need these roles.
Yes. To those who are jumping in, welcome. Abby Alien, Panda Eyes, please find a desk and pull out your notepads and turn to page 42. We are learning of the intricacies of Futanari and the philosophical and the educative reasons as to how it pertains to our sociality. We've already discussed the import. That's a donut. I apologize. We've already discussed the import of how the gooning pipeline works. You'll have to catch up in your own time. You are late to class. So you will need to catch up on this later. Please ask your fellow colleagues and your fellow students for their notes after class so you can catch up later. Currently, we are on the chapter of subgenres of Futanari engagement.
Reversed. And what do I mean by that? Well, sometimes men might like the door held open for them. Or maybe sometimes they would like to be the ones to get a compliment. Or maybe sometimes they would like the other person to pay for the check at dinner time. And sometimes they want Futanari 2B to plow them like the fertile lands of Mesopotamia.
Ah, yes. A very, very eloquent way of speaking, Mr. Lando. I too. See, Mr. Lando is a very eloquent sort. He often quite misunderstands sometimes that the sort of people who watch this kind of education might not understand the terminology he's using. So allow me to translate for those who might not understand the big multiple multiple syllable words this man is using. So when he says plowing the fertile land, he's really referring to he wishes that to be in this fantasy world, having said genitalia would fuck him royally, bending him over like the submissive and agreeable individual that he is, and rogering him until he can't even breathe anymore. He wishes for to insert her schmeat into his tight bussy and fuck him until he is breaking the boundaries of his bed. For the layman's terms out there, because I know that not all of you guys are educated with this knowledge, so we're simply trying to break down his highbrow phraseology for a more understandable and layman's term.
So it is in this way that Futanari on male might be the most complicated, but perhaps the most rewarding of the subgenres of Futanari. And I've been speaking mostly on Futanari on male, but of course this implies that the male could top
Indeed.
the Futanari
It can
character.
go both ways.
But that is for
the Futanari
weak
is not
of
always
soul
the
and
top in
mind
the
and
mating
body.
ritual.
Only the weakest, whose bloodlines are inevitably bound to wither away and die, would prefer to top a Futanari 2B when the option to get topped by a Futanari 2B exists.
Exactly.
Now, a
Which,
lecture
in of
on
itself, is a pertainment of how the fantasy works. Those who express themselves within the fantastical element of this are usually expressing themselves for that is not normally the case. Most lonely gooners are looking into this sort of subject matter with the mind of, well, you know, in my gender role, I'm normally the one giving. But what if I take? What if the girl that is the opposite gives instead of taking? Now you might say, well, why not just get pegged? And I understand your sentimentality, but we're talking of the fantastical element. What is otherworldly? What is not within our normal confines of physicality? So in this sense, when we get to that level of Futanari, it is the probability, the high psychology, and the psychological likeliness that you are using this to explore the antithesis of your current existence. You are expressing your utmost urge to want to have deep dicking anal from a Futanari with a large schlong.
subject of Futanari would not be complete if we did not talk about Overwatch. This first-person shooter game, developed by Blizzard Entertainment, released in 2016, took the world by storm. It's hard to really adequately describe how popular Overwatch was, from the fan-made content, cosplays, art, to the competitive scene, the casual gaming scene, all the videos on YouTube.
True, though.
Clips online.
Many
Overwatch
people's first
was
introduction
simply
into Futanari
a
is likely
phenomenon.
something Overwatch
Okay,
related.
Well, students, you might be wondering, why are we talking about Overwatch? Well, it's because when it comes to Futanari, there is so much Futanari based on Overwatch.
That's a lot. That is most certainly a lot. In fact, I can almost guarantee you there are more people looking at Overwatch smut than there are actually playing the game. Just a thing.
I have seen so much Overwatch Futanari. And not just Futanari, there's just so much not safe for work content of Overwatch out there. On the previously mentioned not safe for work image hosting site, there are 101,367.
Yeah, there's a bit more than that now, Mr. Lando.
That aside, what is the answer to the question?
Thank you for following.
Why is there so much Overwatch?
Of course you'd follow for this
Futanari?
cultured, educative content.
Well, it's because playing Overwatch feels like you're getting f***ed.
Very true. A very poetic licensing of the experientialness of playing Overwatch. I, too, on a yearly basis, like to get fucked at least once. I'll download Overwatch and say to myself, you know what? It's about that time of year to get fucked. But sometimes you want a bit more of a less metaphorical experience of that. Sometimes you want to have the more tactile, the more visceral ideology, and rather than just beating around the bush and coming for Overwatch, you instead just go straight to the meat of the thing. You go straight to the gaping hole that is the porn. Because if you're going to get fucked, why just wait? Get that straight away. Get your favorite Overwatch characters, give them the schmeat, and you skip the process of racial obscenities being spouted you over the VoIP.
By every character that they have to give each character a dick so you can probably get by your teammates no matter who they play. Additionally, to answer the question, is it gay to like Overwatch Futanari? My answer.
If this video gets 500 likes, by the way, I will make a video on the history of Futanari. For it's all well and good that we learn about the positations of Futanari and how it implicates into our modern society. However, if we get good views on this video, I will make a history of Futanari and its implications within our existence. Importantly so.
Answer, yes. And it's not because of the Futanari. It's because I can't think of anything gayer than liking Overwatch.
I have
Hello,
never
students.
heard
Thank
a
you
more
so much
poetic
for watching the
licensing
video.
than
Professor
that.
Lando here with a
Well,
little
Mr.
bit of an
Lando,
announcement. I'm
you
going to be
are
making an appearance.
an astute individual. And as I stated, I will hold to my word. If this video gets 500 likes, if people enjoyed my positations and advancements on good Professor Lando's initial consultations, then I will make my own video about the history of Futanari, because there's nothing more cultured than learning about a chick with a dick. So with that, like this video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see all of you guys next time. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. I'm going to go and goon now.